At your neighborhood Rayleigh's in Bel Air, discover fresh finds and save big on all the delicious ingredients that summer brings. Like this week's amazingly affordable Foster Farms whole fryer chicken on sale for just 77 cents a pound. And get 18 ounces of sweet blueberries or 2 pounds of juicy strawberries on sale for only $3.97 each. Enjoy these awesome deals in-store or online with your neighborhood Rayleigh's in Bel Air.
You're always up for some fun with the family, so you order the essentials, a new board game, some baking supplies, and even a new projector for outdoor movie night. And with the Bank of America customized Cash Rewards credit card, you can choose to earn 3% cash back on online shopping, which could increase to up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member. Rewards which you can put toward an extra treat that everyone will enjoy, like an old-fashioned popcorn machine. Visit bankofamerica.com/more rewarding and apply now. Copyright 2021 Bank of America Corporation.
24/7. Fast. Our team is working extra hard to keep stores clean. We're wearing masks, practicing distancing, and more, just to give you the confidence to grab, go, and repeat.
Extra Mile Convenience Stores. Treat you right at select Chevron and Texaco locations.
It's because I love them. Someday they'll understand. Save the ones you love. A message from California State Parks Division of Boating and Waterways.
Whether you're surfing for the best airplane fares for your next getaway or streaming movies during summer sleepovers, Wave gives you the fast, reliable internet you expect. Act now and you can get a $100 gift card when you sign up for Wave Gig Speed Internet. Restrictions apply. Actual speeds may vary. Gift card valid on Gig Speed Internet only. Not available everywhere. Visit GoWave.com.
Back. It started over 20 years ago with the first ever 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. America's best warranty still to this day. And with the impressive safety and technology of the Elantra, Sonata, Tucson, Kona, and Santa Fe, Hyundai also has your back, front, and sides. And now, even your pocketbook. Introducing Hyundai Complimentary Maintenance. With 3 years or 36,000 miles of coverage that includes all basic maintenance, including oil changes and tire rotations. That's better than Honda or Nissan, and a whole year longer than Toyota. So test drive a new Hyundai today at your Hyundai dealer, because the longer you look at a new Hyundai, the more there is to life.
Right now, get 0% APR for 60 months, plus $500 bonus cash on a 2021 Hyundai Sonata, or get up to $1,500 in total savings. See your Sacramento area Hyundai dealer today. For well-qualified buyers only. Offer ends 8/2/21. Call 916-398-3537 for complete offer details.
You're always up.
Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton at Big C Sports. Coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys around the country, I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars all around the world. Just say Google or Alexa play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear welcome to the show. I will oftentimes introduce Big C as the mystic, and sometimes I won't. It's all fair and love and war, and I really do appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Spotify. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. Good to have a smart TV. You'll be sitting there looking at us so pictures. I also want to say I love pausing, but I will never pause on our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. Just pick up the phone and call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And you can definitely get some help for our veterans and their loved ones. Also very happy to be affiliated with Valley Homes Weekly TV on Dish TV, Direct TV, AT&T Uverse, TV 53, home of the first place San Francisco Giants, and the Say Hey Kid, as well as a home run King Barry Bonds. When you reach out to them, just tell them Big C sent you. Our goal is simple: recruit 10,000 real estate agents and brokers all over this great country. Just like McDonald's does it, car dealerships are doing it, sports teams are doing it. Watch TV and real estate work for you. If you're looking for opportunities in real estate, go to bigcsports.pacwm.com. Most of our loans are underwritten by Rocket Mortgage, the #1 lender in the country on the wholesale side. Also, you call 800-772-8624. I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, God said, let there be light. Open your cell phones and say it. Play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from all of our sponsors, and I really do appreciate the way things have grown with Big C Sports. Also, today's show is sponsored by Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 100% on its game. It's all fair and loving where it tastes great with a Big C burger. It is a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats. It tastes better in your mouth than it does in your hands. Also, we are coming to you live from the 2021 NBA Draft. It's all fair and level war over in the great city of New York City. We're going to have on the great DC Livers, the founder and CEO of Tbsn, the Black Sports Network. Going to be talking about the NBA Draft live from the Barclays Center in beautiful Brooklyn, New York. Yes, Brooklyn, New York is all fair and level war. When we come back, we're going to talk to the great DC Livers, the founder and CEO of the Black Sports Network. This is Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Podcast. In the words of the great Arnold Schwarzenegger, we'll be back. All right, we're back from the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio Podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts, also Xfinity Comcast TV. We are live from Barclays Center in beautiful downtown Brooklyn, New York, and we have a wonderful guest today. Her name is actually DC Livers. She's the founder and CEO of TBSN, the Black Sports Network, and she's actually at the NBA Draft. And as I understood, you tried out against every one of those potential draft picks, and you beat all of them. Is that true or not, DC? Your thoughts?
I should have had them all play me in Harlem, but I went easy on them because they're rookies. They're rookies.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be simple for them. But the draft is actually it's in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Which is still part of New York City.
Yes.
But it's downtown Brooklyn, and it's the Barclays Center, and it's beautiful here.
Yes, a beautiful Barclays Center. Go ahead and tell us, what do you feel? I know you have so much flavor in talking to you earlier today. You really have your finger on the pulse of what's going on the East Coast and all of the NBA. How are you feeling about this year's, I guess, crop of NBA draft picks?
I think the 2021-2022 class is very promising. I mean, already people are talking about Katie. They're just talking about a bunch of the players. I think some of the teams.
Yep.
They got pretty far. They advanced pretty far in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Are super excited about the opportunity.
Yep.
That this class brings.
Yeah, I know. We talk about
a lot of guards.
Yeah.
These guards are very needed right now. So
yeah.
The bigs and the guards will always go.
How is the environment? Obviously, in New York City, people oftentimes think Madison Square Garden. The Barclays is obviously it's a happening place now. It's a beautiful facility. What is the vibe like around Brooklyn? Because there's so much focus on New York City for over the years. What's the vibe like now that you have the draft coming from Brooklyn?
Well, the vibe in New York when it comes to basketball is always mixed.
Yeah.
But when you have some teams like the Brooklyn Nets, whose owner owns Alibaba and bought the Liberty from the Knicks,
yeah,
bought the hockey team. When I tell you he is committed
yeah.
to making you first think about the Nets,
yeah.
look what he did with his team this year.
Yeah.
He stacked it.
Yeah. It was
so
stacked.
As far as I'm concerned, he's going to be, he once told me that he's going to try to make the Nets the official team of the New York City area, and that's going to be so hard. But then we never thought he could get Kyrie.
Yep.
We never thought that he could get Kevin Durant.
Yep.
No one for sure thought that James Harden would turn down $50 million
yeah.
and come here.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they got injured and didn't make it all the way.
Yeah.
This is a team to watch.
Well.
And the environment is, Knicks fans are so scared.
Yeah.
Because what if one day the Nets actually do it? That's the environment. That's the feeling.
Well, we're still, just to let you know, DC, we're kind of still upset that the great Kevin Durant decided to leave the most beautiful city in the universe, in beautiful San Francisco, California. They even built a brand new Chase Center, and he decided to go to a renovated Barclays Center. Maybe that makes sense to you?
Listen, Kevin Durant and all of these players are bigger than basketball.
Yeah.
And Kevin Durant, which most people don't know, is one of the biggest tech investors Masters
Yeah.
and the NBA.
Yeah.
He had a good time out in Silicon Valley.
Yep.
But being in New York provides another kind of a Silicon Valley out on the East Coast.
Yeah, on the East Coast.
So I think like, people are not paying attention to all the moves these guys are making outside of the court.
Yes.
So I think Kevin's very happy here. I think he'll be here for a while.
Let me ask you a question. I want to ask you a question based on what you said, because I know we've had some conversations, and even about yourself, there's always this push, and I'm just going to be candid because I love your network, the TBSN, the Black Sports Network. Can you talk about, we had the conversation earlier, in the African-American community, there's about $13 billion per month spent, and people are wondering how, why are there not more self-employed people or business owners like yourself?
I think that I think it's really surprising, actually, that there wasn't a black-owned network before this.
Yeah.
I mean, this industry is $620 billion.
Wow.
The majority of the players are, of color.
Yeah.
Right? We're now starting to get a lot of European players and everything.
Yeah.
But there are so few owners of color.
Yeah.
If you include the Brooklyn Nets owner and Michael Jordan.
Yep.
And Sheila Johnson or whatever.
Yes.
And I guess the lady, Valerie.
Yep.
Oh, she's a minority owner of the Bucks. It's horribly embarrassing.
Yeah, it really is. That's how.
There's not more racial diversity.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
So having
with
a black network.
Yeah.
It's just embarrassing that it took this long, and I'm really happy to be part of it. To have thought of it and have come up with the idea, but I say part of it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it belongs to the people. I feel like it's going to belong to all of us.
Yes.
That's how I feel.
I love what you're saying. There's always this thought about people that want something. You can either lead, you can follow, or you can get out of the way. And just like with Big C Sports, I decided to lead, and with a partner of mine, and I decided to just go for it. I've never missed a day. I don't take days off. I don't sleep. It's in my spirit. And if the God gives me the chance to do it, I'm going to do it every single day. Can you tell me more about, and tell the audience more about your network? I know you're at the NBA draft tonight live at the Barclays in Brooklyn. But what is your goal for the network this year? Because a lot of people don't know how powerful you actually are and the range that you have. Tell us more about your network.
So we're going to be omni-media, and what that means is basically broadcast TV, radio. There'll be digital, obviously, right? Because we started the first black digital network radio station online.
Yep.
Many, many years ago. There'll be podcasts, there'll be print publications as well as print on demand.
Yeah.
Because some people just want to read the digital pub. Other people want to be able to have the actual one.
Right.
We work really closely with Western Africa, Black Europe, and Brazil.
Really?
So some of our publications will go there because they're closely following their players that make it to the U.S.
Wow. That's amazing.
There'll be radio. Yeah. And so the broadcast rights is super exciting because there are 32 teams. All teams don't get to be on television.
Right.
And they should, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to be making independent partnerships with people and being able to provide opportunities for black sports writers, also non-black sports writers. So we basically hire everyone.
Yes.
But we really are committed to racial diversity. It's super important that kids grow up, because sometimes when I'm in the garden, little kids that come up to me, they're like, I see you at every game.
Right.
What do you do?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there just needs to be more of me. There are a few African-American women who work in sports. There are even fewer black women who are either not biracial or don't work for ESPN or something like that.
Yeah.
So I want them to know that they can start a podcast. They can start a sports blog.
Yep.
There's tons of ways. You can do gaming. NBA 2K is huge.
Yep.
Madden is huge.
Yep.
There's going to be so many opportunities for people in sports.
Yep.
But the racial diversity was keeping us from being able to have jobs there. So I want TBSN to employ a lot of kids who are going to be on our gaming team.
Yeah.
Our gaming division is called Blurds, which stands for Black Nerds. It's BLRRDS.
Okay.
We're going to sponsor black and brown and women to be in competition.
Yes.
Because a lot of times when you're watching those gaming shows, it's a lot of Asians, it's a lot of white people, but you don't see any people of color.
Exactly.
You don't see brown people, right? You don't see black people. Yep. And I want to help pay those fees so they can compete professionally.
DC.
So we're just going to do everything. We're going to have a Saturday.
I think you are absolutely fabulous. We're just making sure we check on your microphone. I just want to ask you about two more questions, and of course, you're doing a great job tonight, live at the NBA Draft 2021, coming live from the Barclays Center in beautiful Brooklyn, in a great facility, and the vibe is absolutely great. So these young people, if you could just give out a word of advice from your side of the sports industry, what advice would you give these young people who are about to become overnight millionaires?
My first piece of advice is trademark your name. You should have did it before you got drafted.
Yeah.
But do it immediately. Like, hug your mom, kiss your girlfriend, and get on the computer and trademark your name.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, it's so important.
Yes.
Because you can release your own merch. You have control of your likeness.
Yeah.
The second piece of advice is hire forensic accountants and attorneys.
Yes.
So they can go behind everybody, the agent, the manager, everybody. Make sure you're not getting screwed over.
Yes.
Remember, the average life of an NBA player is about 5 years.
Wow.
So really be very careful with your money. Try to spend OPM, other people's money.
Yes.
Endorsement deals, whatever you want to do.
And know where your money is.
Try to bank your check.
Yes.
And live on some other money. Find other money.
That's
in other words, just have fun.
Yeah.
And remember, Twitter, social media can cost you your whole career.
Wow, I
Be
think some
careful
people
on those
learn
apps.
that. Yeah. You cannot retract what you've already put out there. You know, I just want to appreciate you, DC Lavers, founder and CEO of the Black Sports Network, and you're live at the 2021 NBA Draft from beautiful Brooklyn. Last question for your message to, like in Genesis 1 verse 3, God says, let there be light. How can you shine more light on the Black Sports Network? How can people find out more about what you're doing? What's your marching orders for the whole world in the sports industry to pay more attention to the Black Sports Network?
Well, first and foremost, you can go to blacksports.com, and that's always with a Z and not an S. So it's SPORTZ.
Yeah.
Because I want to reach Generation Z. I have no problem with LeBron being 36 or anything like that.
Yeah.
But the next generation is here. They're coming. Bronny will be in the league before you know it, right?
Yeah.
So I want the kids and the younger people to know that they don't have to go with the status quo and what they grew up watching.
Wow.
And I want adults to understand that kids are controlling it all. If you're not on Snapchat, don't have a Twitch and a TikTok, I really don't understand what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
But you're kind of wasting your time, right?
Well,
and so I want people to feel that they don't have to have experience to work with us.
Yep.
We'll teach you. What you do have to have is a passion and a love for sports.
Yeah.
Right?
You're right.
And it can be as simple as, competitive chess. A lot of these guys are so smart.
I know it.
They're brilliant.
Yeah.
But they get put in this category of just being an athlete. So I want people to know that we're going to nurture athletes, starting by calling them players or athletes instead of property and pieces.
That's amazing.
We recognize them as whole men. They are whole men, and we want to be a part of it. We also want to have the WNBA.
Yep.
Spend some of that $100 million with us.
Yes.
They have $100 million with it for marketing.
Wow.
We got to get at least 2%. Come on.
That's amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
But most importantly, I want people to know I'm coming to hit the pocket. My audience deserves quality. We deserve the money because we're going to help you make money.
Yep.
You're going to spend it back with us. That's just not negotiable. Other than that, we're just going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do.
Well,
keep sports fun.
DC Livers, founder and CEO of the Black Sports Network. I do appreciate you being on Big C Sports. Tell a couple of people at Big C Sports Podcast. I'm definitely going to put your word out there all over the world and all over the sports universe, as we always say. I wish you nothing but the best. I think you are phenomenal. Keep letting your light shine, and hopefully I will see you as you're shining bright down the road. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much, okay?
Thank you. This is my very first podcast interview, and I saved it for you because I really love your passion, and I love that you bet on yourself. I love that you believed in yourself, and you took a chance. So congratulations.
Amen. Thank you so much. The meal is on me next time I'm in New York City, okay? We'll talk to you soon, DC Livers, the founder and CEO of the Black Sports Network, and we're going to take what's called the Big C pause. In words of the great Arnold Schwarzenegger, we'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio Podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. There's so many apps you can follow, and I really do appreciate the way things have grown with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you better have a smart TV, or you'll be sitting there looking at a still picture. Man, I really want to say to everybody out there watching Big C Sports, you can also follow us on Xfinity, Comcast TV, and I really do appreciate that. Just have the chance to come live to you from the Barclays Center, the 2021 NBA Draft. A lot of young men are going to have their millionaire dreams come true. Caviar wishes and millionaire dreams, or caviar dreams and millionaire wishes. I know somebody's wishing for caviar or some kind of dreams, whatever they're doing. They really appreciate that. But I want to say thank you to DC Lavers, founder and CEO of Tbsn, the Black Sports Network. And her goal is simple, to give opportunities to people of color. There's about $13 billion every month spent with the black community. Oftentimes that money goes outside and doesn't come back in. It's like, get out, like the movie Get Out. They say, get out, and it doesn't come back in. But she's doing her part in realizing that the black commodity is $1 billion industry. But oftentimes we don't own it. We tend to go work for other people as opposed to working for ourselves. That's why with Big C Sports, I like working for myself because I own it. And why would you rent when you can own? I also want to say thank you to my son Malcolm for providing me some stats on the 2021 NBA Draft, coming live to you from Barclays Center in beautiful Brooklyn. There's a couple of players keep in mind. You have Kate Cunningham, looking at maybe Detroit. There's a lot of talk about Jalen Green in Houston, even Mobley to Cleveland, Jalen Suggs, Toronto, Scotty Barnes, or Orlando. Cunningham coming out of Oklahoma State, of course. He's the marquee player. A lot of people are talking about him maybe being the next Michael Jordan. That's a lot to call him Michael Jordan. Maybe the next Chris Webber. You know, someone that's still a Hall of Famer. But not, I mean, it's hard to say anybody's the next Michael Jordan. Also, Green out of the G League, really have a lot of success in the G League. A lot of people are looking at him and the meteoric rise that he's having in the NBA. And then you look at Mobley out of USC. That good boy can play some basketball. I think he showed that in the tournament when they took off Kansas and knocked off Kansas out of the Big 12 in March Madness. You know, earlier this year for March Madness, he has his eyes set on lacing up an NBA contract as well. When you think about Mobley, people talking about him going to Cleveland. The Suggs out of Gonzaga, that good boy for the Bulldogs. Mark Few's team is always one of the top teams in the country. Definitely one of the marquee programs in the West Coast Conference. Over 20 years, winning 20 games. 20 years in a row, winning 20 games. Mark Few knows what he's doing. And then you have Barnes out of Florida State. So there's a lot of good young men that are going to become millionaires tonight, and they're going to have their dreams come true. And as your dreams come true, never forget where you came from, and don't forget to go back and give your mama some of that money. As they always say, you know, I know where you came from, and you got to know where you came from too. Always love on your mothers and your fathers that your days may be long. So again, the 2021 NBA Draft. Before I even get into that, there's talk that in California, the great Arnold Schwarzenegger calls it California, brought to you by Big C Sports. The great Russell Westbrook he played in Lucifer High School in Southern California by way of UCLA. He's bounced around a couple of teams in the NBA, OKC, of course, and now we see what he was doing over in Washington. There's talk that the great Russell Westbrook is going to become a Los Angeles Lakers. Talk about Showtime all over again. Could you imagine LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Westbrook doing this thing? Russell Westbrook, it's amazing. They're bringing so much talent that had not necessarily succeeded in other cities and bringing that back to the Lakers, and hopefully that's going to be good for the purple and gold. But if you think about the draft for the new young players, you know, the start times and the grades and the picks, everybody can have their own feel about that. But last year's event did not happen until late November, if you recall, about a month before the regular season began. And while this year's draft is not completely back to normal, we're still dealing with COVID, we're still dealing with some social distance and protocol, but we're at least in the right direction once again. And to be at the Barclays Center, I really wish they would have had the NBA draft in the beautiful Chase Center in San Francisco, because as DC knows, San Francisco is a much more beautiful city than New York. But hey, New York's okay. Nothing wrong with it. It just has nothing on San Francisco. We have the hills out here, and you guys have the tall buildings that looks like hills. It's all fair level war. We love it both. Beautiful downtown San Francisco. Nothing like Salesforce Tower and the Trans-America Pyramid, as well as the Golden Gate Bridge and the Bay Bridge. But nonetheless, little to what that matters is that tonight, Thursday night, teams near the top of the hoop, when you think about it, there's all the talk about the Detroit Pistons tip things off for the number 1 pick. I don't want to give out who did what because, we've already seen how it's already happened. But just like DC Lyras, I want people who recorded these programs to go home and watch it on your DVR or whatever you watch it on. Some of you still have VCRs, but I know that number 1 draft pick, obviously a lot of people are talking about the Oklahoma State's Kate Cunningham is widely expected to be the top pick. You got to watch and see. G League's Jalen Green, as I talked about, USC's Evan Mobley, Gonzaga's Jalen Suggs, and then Florida State has a good old boy by the name of Scotty Barnes. A few of the other top prospects expected to go pretty early. So following the draft tonight, the Atlantic and NBA staff shares in some sites, and also the ESPN got some people sharing some sites and some other notables out there. I just want to run down the list of teams that are selecting in the NBA draft, whether someone traded up or not. Round 1, you have Detroit, followed by number 2, Houston, number 3, Cleveland, number 4, Toronto, number 5, Orlando. That's the top 5. And then you get into the second set, Oklahoma City, Golden State by way of Minnesota, Orlando from Chicago, Sacramento Kings, Northern California's team, and then the New Orleans Pelicans. You look at the Charlotte Hornets, followed by San Antonio, followed by Indiana at 13, Golden State Warriors at the 14th pick, followed by Washington at 15, Oklahoma City from Boston, as the commercial said, from Boston. This is your cousin Vinny from Boston. I love that commercial. I think I had a lot of coffee because I feel like I'm all jazzed up, and this is how I feel right before bedtime. It's all fair and love and war. When I eat the Big C burger, it is a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meat. You can only get it by following Big C Sports Podcast all around the world. Going back to the selection of the NBA draft, you have Memphis coming in at number 17. Now, number 18, this is like the New York City highways, in California highways. Oklahoma City from Miami via the LA Clippers, and Philadelphia, and Phoenix. So a lot of good old boys, that intersection where you pump the brakes and go, you hit the brakes and you want to get back on the right highway. Sometimes I have a friend, we talk about the arc, like who is your arc in life? If you ever feel like you're going to go past your exit, all you got to do is hit the brakes. That squeaking sound, that squealing sound of the tires, and then get off at the right exit, if that makes sense to you. You want to make sure they get off at the right exit, especially Oklahoma City from Miami via the LA Clippers, Philadelphia, and Phoenix. Number 19 in the selection, New York. Number 20, Atlanta. The Hawks did their thing this year, only being knocked off by the world champion, Milwaukee Bucks. The great King Giannis Antetokounmpo. And then you also have coming up on the list, number 21, New York from Dallas. The Los Angeles Lakers coming in at number 22, Showtime, with 17 NBA championships atop the list, along with the Boston Celtics. Number 23, Houston from Portland. Lots of talk about Dollar Dame. Is he going to stay or should he go? Should I stay or should I go? There was a song about that back in the day. I don't remember who sang that song, but I still remember, should I stay or should I go? That's the question that the great Dollar Dame Damian Lillard's going to have to play. And then Houston also from Milwaukee. Number 25, you have the LA Clippers. Man, they had to stay healthy this year. They could have been the team coming out of the West, but Phoenix turned up the heat on the Clippers and kept the Clippers flopping in the Pacific Ocean. They decided to go swimming instead, but they're the number 25 pick. Number 26 is Denver. They have the league's reigning NBA MVP, Nikola Jokic. And number 27, Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Nets. That's where we started our show tonight, coming from live from Brooklyn, New York, in the Barclays, and with the great DC Lyras on Big C Sports Podcast, coming to you out of Brooklyn, New York, for the NBA draft. And then we have number 28, Philadelphia. The great Doc Rivers. Will he be just what the doctor ordered? They got to keep Joel Embiid healthy. What's going to happen to the great Ben Simmons? He's not a scoring leader, but he does play defense sometimes, like he invented it. It's all fair in level war. And then you have Phoenix, the runners-up to the 2021 NBA champions. They were up 2 games to none over the Milwaukee Bucks. But what does a Buck do when it sees a flame? It runs. Get out. That's what a Buck does. When the Buck sees a flame, it says, get out. And that Buck learned to read. It's all fair and level war. and it got up off of that grill and ran to an NBA championship, their first championship in over 50 years. It's all fair and level war. And then rounding out the top 30 would be the Utah Jazz for this year's NBA draft. I hope that everybody has fun, especially for these millionaires that are all going to become multi-rich. You're going to be rich enough that you can buy the Big C Burger. It is a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meat, and you get it only by following Big C Sports. We're going to take what's called the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. When we come back, we're going to have more about sports, what's going on in the NBA universe. It's all fair and level world. We are back from the Big C Pause. You just heard a promo of the Big C Sports podcast that's played all around the world. In fact, all around the universe. Every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide on the Big C Sports Network. Really appreciate everything that's going on with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Effect TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. Really appreciate everything that's happening with Big C Sports. So we just had opening live from the 2021 NBA Draft in beautiful Brooklyn, New York, the Barclays Center, with our special guest, DC Lyris, founder and CEO of the Black Sports Network. And they are expanding and spreading their wings just like God says in Genesis 1:3, let there be light. And she's spreading their wings and letting there be light in the world of sports broadcasting. And African Americans, you got to get a piece of this pie. It is a $620 billion industry. Me and my partner just trying to manifest $6 billion. It's all fair and level war. No one should ever wonder if they have a part to play in this world of sports. It's all fair and level war. I really love everything that's happening in the world of sports. And I know everybody has their feeling about how do we expand access to people of color when it comes to the world of sports. I've always heard a long time ago, if you're going to be able to complain about something, at least be a part of the solution. Don't just be a problem, be a part of the solution. And that's what I love about what we do with Big C Sports. Also the Black Sports Network. People have to collaborate and figure out how we can make this world a better place for everybody. I've talked to people this week alone from Disney Corporation. Dariah Matthews, really appreciate her. Also a former NBA player with that was on the Lawrence Thompson. Also part of what we do with Big C Sports. I also had August Wesley and Anthony Wesley, part of the Olympics, the 2021 Olympics coming out of Tokyo, Japan. That's all part of the Big C Sports podcast. If you listen to it, talking to all of you sponsors that are always looking for a way to find out, new shows. A lot about Big C Sports. I do the show extemporaneously. I don't use scripts. There's no producer in my ear telling me what to say. And sometimes you might say, well, that explains a lot. That's all fair and level war. But I do speak from the heart. It's like when you kiss somebody, do you kiss with your eyes open? Or do you kiss with your eyes closed? No matter how you kiss, at least you got to kiss. Make the effort. So Big C Sports decided that I was going to get up and try to kiss the world of the sports universe. And when you kiss, you have a chance to enjoy what you're doing. Kissing is just like broadcasting. You got to move your mouth. You got to open your mouth. Sometimes you got to wave that tongue around. You got a little saliva that spits all over the microphone. That's why they have those microphone screens. So anyone, if you've ever kissed anybody, you can do a broadcast. I'm serious about it. It's the same thing. You got to open your mouth. The more you open your mouth and the more you let what's in your heart, out of the mouth, the heart shall speak. We've heard that before. It's a biblical saying. Don't worry about how you're going to do it. Don't worry about how you're going to get started. Don't worry about they won't give me a chance. You are the they. You have to be the they in your life. There's so many people. They wake up every morning and they get dressed to go work for somebody else to make someone else's dreams come true. That's like a farmer watering his neighbor's garden. And when you water your neighbor's garden, when it's time for the harvest, they say you can't harvest the food. You say, wait a minute, I spent all my time watering your garden. And they say, so? You should have spent that time watering your own garden. And that's what we're trying to say with C Sports Podcast. You know, I've never missed a day. We started it was September 12th, 2015, and I had some other partners that were part of it, and I don't know where they are now. That's okay. But since they've left, Big C Sports has been all over the world now, in several different apps. It's a pretty sad dog that won't wag his own tail. I know, because I had one of those dogs. That dog was so lazy at times. He wouldn't even wag his own tail. He made me wag his tail all the time. And then I realized, if I want to have that dog wag his own tail, I got to get out there and let it wag its own tail. But I'm telling everybody out there, especially young people, sometimes you want to know, I'm going to college. I got to figure out what I want to be. The first thing you got to do is just do it. Just like kissing. Keep it simple, stupid. That's what sports broadcasting is like. Keep it simple. Have a passion for what you're doing. Do your homework. And then just start kissing. Just start talking. It's the same thing. It really is the same thing. You don't have to be good at kissing to enjoy kissing. I've been told that many times in my life when I was 16. But it's all fair and love and war. You get better by doing more of it. Keep it simple, stupid. That's what I'm saying. Some of you think kissing like tongue kissing and French kissing. That's what you've been thinking, because your mind is where maybe it is. Nothing wrong with that either. That's how we all got here. Our parents start kissing each other. Next thing you know, there's a baby on the way. It's all fair and love and war. But I'm telling you, just like DC Lyras with the Black Sports Network, I got tired of being that person that sat around watching some of my friends get picked up by NBC Sports, by CBS Sports, Fox Sports, ABC Sports, and then ESPN. I know a lot of people that work at all the networks. And I've always been good enough. I know it because I do my show without a teleprompter. I don't have someone writing my scripts. And I challenge any sponsor, if you look at anyone on television or radio, if their script falls apart, they lose their place because they don't know how to do it from the heart. Just like kissing. If you don't need a script to learn how to kiss. You just got to open your mouth and move that tongue around. It's all fair in love and war. So, and speaking of moving that tongue around, it's all fair and love and war. We all love baseball. We've heard it all. The pitch. Hit deep. Right field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friend, the great Tony Montana from Scarface. The women love the long ball, and men love to hit deep. Tonight's schedule in Major League Baseball all over this great country. Not a big one, but the Washington Nationals were at the Philadelphia Phillies today. The Atlanta Braves taking on the New York Mets up in New York City, not that far from the Barclays Center over in Brooklyn, following the 2021 NBA draft. And then the New York Yankees, they were down in Florida today. And I said, oh my God, I slept in and missed football because I saw New York. I can give out this score because it's so unusual. New York 0 and Tampa Bay Rays 14. I thought I missed football. I thought Tampa Bay played New York. I thought the football season started in September. That's a baseball game, but it was a football score because some good old boys from Tampa decided to hit deep. They hit deep, and they hit a lot of home runs in that game. Also, Tony La Russa takes his act to Kansas City with the Chicago White Sox, and they're over there at the beautiful Kauffman Stadium. Tony La Russa, he's done his thing for the Oakland A's, did his thing also for the St. Louis Cardinals, and now doing his thing for the Chicago White Sox. So whether they win in the World Series or not, that good boy knows how to manage. He's one of the elder statesmen of baseball. But that goes to tell you, it's not how old you are, it's what kind of passion you have in your heart. For all of you young people, and DC Lyras talked about it with the Black Sports Network, a lot of people think, how can I get a job in sports? They want to go to school, they do their internship, they do everything they're supposed to do. And then if you're a person of color, oftentimes you'll see people on TV that get a job because of their friends. Cronyism and nepotism. I've seen it myself, but you can't stop there. You got to create your own thing. Podcast is the biggest medium in the world now. You got to realize it's the number one medium in the world. You got to get into it. So the White Sox are at the Royals, the Cincinnati Reds at the Windy City, the Chicago Cubs. What a great setting with the Reds taking on the Cubs. The Washington Nationals taking on the Philadelphia Phillies in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. And we have the Milwaukee Brewers. They're just celebrating still the championship in Milwaukee, but they're on the road at the Pittsburgh Pirates. Rumor has it the streets were too dirty in Milwaukee because they're still trying to get the streets from being yellow. The streets are staying yellow in Milwaukee now, but they had about 40,000 people outside of Pfizer Center when the Milwaukee Bucks won an NBA championship, knocking off the Phoenix Suns. And as I was saying, there are no restrooms letting people in. There are no outhouses. No one wants to use an outhouse after 30,000 people have used it before you. So they had to do something in the streets. And I guess people were dancing in the streets, if that makes sense to you. So they had to clean up behind them. So the streets will be cleaned up, hopefully, with some Lysol wipes. It's all fair and level war. The Baltimore Orioles at the Detroit Tigers, them good boys were doing their thing. And everybody's loving that. The Toronto Blue Jays at the Boston Red Sox with the Green Monsters, all fair and level war. The Oakland A's, the Oakland Athletics, they took their act down to Southern California, and the Los Angeles Angels. But the Los Angeles Angels, with the great Shohei Ohtani, they become the #1 attraction in Anaheim. It used to be that people would pay money to see a mouse at Disneyland called Mickey Mouse. Now Mickey Mouse is coming second place to a great baseball player by the name of Shohei Ohtani. So Mickey Mouse, it might cost more to go see Mickey Mouse or a mouse, but you get to see more home runs when you go to see the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, but you don't have roller coasters. It's all fair in love and war, the great Shohei Ohtani. And then the Colorado Rockies taking on the San Diego Padres with the great Tatis Jr. doing his thing all over the place. And when Tatis is up to bat, you're going to see a lot of people standing up watching to see what happens. The game of the day is already come to conclusion. We also preview them on the front part of Big C Sports Podcast. The San Francisco Giants hit deep, right field, back to the wall, out ahead. The great Cuban cut. They always like to shout out when the ball goes into McCovey Cove. The San Francisco Giants knocking off their arch rivals, the Interstate 5 rivals, the defending world champion Los Angeles Dodgers. The score was 5-0, and I tell that to the people because I want to get my press passes early for the World Series, as the San Francisco Giants will take on somebody out of the American League. That's just my opinion. The San Francisco Giants will most likely be in the World Series, as they will win the National League pennant this year. It's just my opinion. It's all fair in love and war. I wish everybody nothing but the best. Really excited about the 2021 NBA draft coming to you from the Barclays Center in beautiful Brooklyn, New York. The Barclays is a beautiful facility. The house that Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden are trying to build. I know they had a hitch in their giddy up this year, and they weren't able to get it done. So pay attention to some names that my son Malcolm said to me. You know, Cade Cunningham, Detroit. Well, Jalen Green, Evan Mosley, Jalen Suggs, Scotty Barnes coming out of all these great players. Cunningham out of Oklahoma State, Green out of the G League, Mobley out of USC, Suggs out of Gonzaga, and then Barnes out of Florida State. Gonzaga got knocked off in the national championship game to Baylor, and they were trying to bounce back from that big win that they had against UCLA, the buzzer beat in overtime, but they just didn't have enough leg power to stand up to the Baylor Bears. But I wish all of these players nothing but the best. For all of you men that are becoming multi-millionaires, make sure that you keep people's hands out of your pocket. And you heard some great advice from DC Livers earlier. You got to get people to pay attention to you. Don't let the agents keep all your money. Learn how to count. There's some stories about certain athletes that walk around with hundreds of thousands of dollars in a gunny sack. And it's like, this is not the SEC anymore. Just a joke. You can actually put your money in the bank. But it's all fair and level where you guys be careful. I want to touch on the world of college football and about people being careful. You got to learn to be careful in this world, especially in sports. I know some things that happened that I didn't necessarily agree with. We have the University of Southern California, former All-Star running back Reggie Bush attends the USC game against Utah as a guest on the pregame show Fox Sports at Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum back in 2019 in Los Angeles, California. Even with the new image or name, image, and likeness laws in place, allowing college athletes to earn money off their likeness, the great Reggie Bush 2005 Heisman Trophy winner was vacated. And earlier today, the NCAA, the antitrust violators, the NCAA, they ruled that Reggie Bush would not be able to regain his Heisman, even though them stealing from players is considered an antitrust violation. But he's not going to be able to get his Heisman back, and due to him receiving impermissible benefits, which is what the Supreme Court said the NCAA was receiving, also impermissible benefits with the antitrust violation. But they're saying that it would be legal today, but it doesn't change that Bush status of what the NCAA said. But again, I think whenever you have somebody ruled unconstitutional in what they're doing, how do they punish someone and get away with it? It doesn't make any sense. It's like the people who are breaking the law get to set the laws, and that doesn't make sense. It's all fair in love and war, and I appreciate everybody having their own thought about it. But I know that Reggie Bush, Everyone saw you run the ball. Everyone saw you play the game. Just like I see butterflies flying all over Northern California and all over this country. And we have so much to be grateful for. The Barclays Center in beautiful Brooklyn, New York. The 2021 NBA Draft. Wishing all the players nothing but the best. And I really do believe that all the dreams that are coming true tonight is coming true tonight because someone believed in you. Sometimes it's got to be, you might be the only person that believes. A lot of things start with belief. When I talk about the size of the faith of the grain of a mustard seed, if we can have that kind of belief that we can move mountains, and oftentimes people don't believe in that, but you got to have the belief that whatever you're trying to do, that you can make it happen. And I believe in it. I believe in the hope. I believe in people talking about how they can make their dreams come true. And that's what we have right now, whether it's Reggie Bush or whoever else is trying to take away a trophy from someone, and he earned the trophy, and so did USC earn 2 national championships in 2003 and 2004. They lost to Texas in 2005. But just because they took away those championships doesn't mean they didn't win them. All's fair in love and war. I really appreciate having August Wesley and also Anthony Wesley for part of the Olympics going over on in Japan, and them good old boys came on the Big C Sports podcast, and I appreciate them talking about the dedication and the hard work that it takes to become an Olympian. Everybody says they want to win, but how bad do you want it? They got to do what it takes to stay on top. I want to look at the gold medal count and also the updated medal count for the gold, the silver, and the bronze coming from Japan, Tokyo, Japan. And so far, again, this is a time delay, so sometimes the numbers may not be right. But number one in medal count, the United States of America with 38 medals, and that's 14 gold for the United States of America. And then you have China coming in with 31 medals. They have 15 gold. Japan has, as the host country, has 25 medals, total medals, with 15 gold medals. And then you look at Russia with 28 total medals, 8 gold medals. Australia, from the land down under, where they follow Big C Sports, they have 20 medals overall, 8 gold. Great Britain, 18 overall medals and 5 golds. The Republic of Korea has 12 overall medals and 4 golds. France, responded silver place. We mature. It's all fair in love and war. I love the fact that they say that French wine is better than California wine, but I beg to differ. It's not better than California wine. California has the best sommeliers and the best wine in the universe, just my opinion. But France has 11 total medals and 3 golds. Germany has 13 medals and 3 golds overall. Italy has 19 medals and 2 gold overall, followed by you have the Netherlands with 13 medals and then 2 gold overall. Canada has 10 medals and then 2 overall. It's all fair in love and war. I'm wishing everybody nothing but the best as you figure out what you're going to do when your gold medal comes home and you don't come home with it, or did you come home and the gold medal's not with you. Keep an eye on your prize, those prize possessions. Everybody's trying to bring this world together. We're still dealing with COVID, and COVID is not over yet. You got to stay masked up. I know some people feel they got vaccinated, and so therefore they don't have to get vaccinated again. But I still feel that we got to figure out to stay healthy and stay on top of everything in the sports universe. Sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And I'm just hoping that everybody, no matter what you're doing, that you keep your eye on the prize and don't get caught with your mask off. I see some people that are walking around, whether it's New York or whether it's California, without having their mask on. And I know that people got to keep in mind that we're still at the point where you got to wear it. You got to keep people safe, even if it's yourself. But again, that's a thought that even got to go to your own doctor and let your doctor tell you if you're doing the right thing, especially for people that have elderly people at home. I know they're opening up the schools again for people to go back to school, and that's where we're going to see maybe we'll have a spike. But the hospitals are not full right now, so that's something that I want to just keep in mind too. Football season kicks off in about 42 days, and I hope that everyone can enjoy the Big C Burger. It is a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats, and I hope that everyone who's out there enjoying football will also be able to enjoy the Big C Burger. I know they're going to have fans in the stands this year, and everybody has their thoughts on, who's going to be the favorite team to win the Super Bowl. Is it going to be Tampa repeating? A lot of people have Kansas City up there and thinking about, will they make that run? Will it be this year for the Los Angeles Rams? I'm thinking the San Francisco 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo is 22-8 as a starter. He's 22-8 as a starter. Last I heard, he's going to start again this year. And so you got to look at the 49ers as being one of those top teams also. But I want to run down in the final few minutes of Big C Sports Podcast. I know we came to you live from the Barclays Center in beautiful Brooklyn, New York. The great city on the East Coast. It's still the second, it's a borough of New York, Manhattan, but everyone, New York is a great city. I believe there's about 8 million people in the city of New York itself, and they have all the boroughs. But I think about when you go to football. We just had touchdown Aaron Rodgers. He decided to come back to the Green Bay Packers. Played at Pleasant Valley High School in Chico, California, went to Butte Junior College, and then ended up at Cal Berkeley, where he learned how to market himself. You learn that at marketing. The Pac-12 has some of the better academic schools in the country. People can talk about conference realignments, but that's just for football. If you're talking about academic conference realignments, you can't get any better in the Power 5 than Stanford, UCLA, USC, and Cal Berkeley as institutions of higher education. So they can line up all the football powers they want and give all those kids CTE. At the same time, when you want to get an education, you got to come to the Pac-12. Overall conferences, it is the conference of champion, as the great Bill Walton talks about. Sometimes you can't understand him because he's still living life. Woodstock, it's all fair, love, and war. But they have by double, I think they have by over 200 overall championships than all the other conferences. And I think the Big Ten is next. But it's all fair and love, and war. I love football. Are you ready for some football? Yes, we're ready for the football. I know it's the NBA draft. I know it's all fair and love and war. But there's something about football that I love. The Packers come up to the line of scrimmage. You have touchdown Aaron Rodgers with one man in the backfield, and that is Aaron Jones. They have 3 wideouts, a 5-man front. And Rodgers turns around, hands the ball off to Rodgers, running left at the 50, the 40, has one man to beat, the 30, the 20, the 10, the 5. Touchdown! Green Bay Packers! That good old boy by the name of Rodgers. Aaron Jones from Rodgers, that's the combination you're going to hear a lot this year. Running the ball and passing the ball. When it's in the air, it's going to be Devontae Adams. When it's on the ground, it's going to be Aaron Jones coming in as number 6 as Big C's best NFL running back. That good old boy has never had a bad year in the NFL. With 4 straight seasons, when you think about it, a grade of at least 75 overall, 79 of his rushing yards. When you think about it, he averaged at least 3 yards after contact per carry in the last 2 seasons. That's after contact. When you get that good old boy, it's hard to bring him down. Everybody knows the running games will pave the way to a championship. That's why I believe the 49ers will be a team that wins the NFC West. I know people are looking at the Rams. I don't have faith yet in Stafford. He's never won a playoff game. The 49ers and Jimmy G has. They even got to the Super Bowl. You also have Russell Houdini Wilson with the Seattle Seahawks. They're going to be loaded this year. Arizona Cardinals might come up at the rear. But also across the East Coast, not that far from the Barclays Center, you have the New York Giants, and one of the most talented running backs came out of Penn State. And when you think about it, the first and goal from the 9-yard line, the snap hands off to Saquon Barkley. He's running left inside of the 5, inside of the end zone. Touchdown! New York Giants. It is Saquon Barkley for his 3rd score on the day. And the Giants have taken the lead over the New York Jets. Okay, the all New York City rival. One of the most talented running backs in the league. Saquon Barkley, he embodies what a running back is. He has size and speed. He had an injury, but he's going to come back stronger and faster. And I think he's a good old boy that can catch out of the backfield. And he showed us what he's capable of as a rookie. Only a season. Think about that. That good old boy is 100 yards per game waiting to happen. It's all fair in 11 words. You have a guy by the name of Chris Carson for the Seattle Seahawks. He might be overlooked when you think about it. 1st and 10, 50-yard line. Wilson under center, 3 wideouts, 5-man front, turns around, hands off to Chris Carson. He's running left. He's across the 40. He's across the 30, at the 20. He's at the 10. He's at the 5. Touchdown, Seahawks! Chris Carson, 50 yards. And the Seahawks have taken the lead over the LA Rams. He's a throwback style runner. He reminds a lot of people of Beast Mode. Not as good as Beast Mode, but a lot like Beast Mode. He's a throwback style who plays in an offense with some throwback tendencies. Chris Carson, one of the highest running ball carriers, one of the hardest carriers in the NFL. He's actually able to give you the hip and take it away. That good boy has broken 136 tackles. On average, over 3 yards after contact per carry over the last 3 years. When you think about that, that's a good old boy that's picking them up and laying them down. And they're going to need that for the Seattle Seahawks because that's a team with DK Metcalf. Obviously, he's a star receiver in the NFC West, maybe one of the top 3 receivers in all of NFL football. I love Russell Houdini Wilson, but Russell's going to have to counter that run game where you can't keep running around and scrambling and giving the defense more time to get up on you. The 49ers are going to be legit. Their defense is legit again this year. A lot of guys that were injured, like Bosa, they're back in the saddle this year. And, you know, Donald can bring it also for the LA Rams. I'm going to take you down into the desert. I think one of the better running backs I ever saw play for the Raiders, and people might disagree, but I'm going to say Bo Jackson and Marcus Allen. I'm not saying this guy's as good as Bo Jackson or Marcus Allen, but the Raiders have a strong running game, and it's only going to help Derek Carr. We have 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line. Carr under center, his 3 wideouts, 5 men on defense, turns around, hands off to his greatest running back, Josh Jacobs, who's running left around the 40, around the 30, at the 20, the 10, the 5, touchdown Raiders! You got to have a running game for the Raiders, and John Gruden's going to have to run that football this year and turn it around and hand it off to Josh Jacobs. Over the past 2 seasons, only Derek Touchdown Henry and Touchdown Nick Chubb have broken more tackles on the ground than Touchdown Josh Jacobs for the Raiders, who's been the 1st-round pick. The Raiders have had a number over the years, but this good old boy is paying off. I'm telling you, Derek Carr can do his thing, but John Gruden never really likes quarterbacks that he didn't draft. Carr's the last Raider quarterback to play in the playoffs. When you think about that, the last Raider quarterback to play in the playoffs. And now he has a chance. I don't think they made the playoffs this year because John Gruden really finishes over 800. But if they have that chance, they're going to have to find a way to not put all the pressure on Derek Carr and turn around and hand the ball off and use that running game with that big offensive line. And Josh Jacobs, no, he's not Bo Jackson. No, he's not Marcus Allen. But he reminds me a lot of Clarence Davidson back in the day when John Madden had the Raiders in the Super Bowls, and Tom Flores had that good old boy by the name of Kenny King running the football for the Raiders when they beat Philadelphia in the Super Bowl. That great Kenny King, they beat him, I think, 27-10. He reminds me a lot of that. I'm not saying the Raiders are anywhere near the Super Bowl, may not even be a 500 team, but if they run Josh Jacobs more than they did last year, they have a chance. Again, when you think about what he did, over the past 2 seasons, only Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb have broken more tackles on the ground than that good old boy. All fair and level. We're going to bring you the top 10 of running backs, and we call them Superman touchdown Patrick Mahomes. Kansas City, we know the Kansas City Chiefs. They're the 3-time AFC champions. They're the 2-time AFC representatives in the Super Bowl. They beat the 49ers. They lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Touchdown Patrick Mahomes under center. Has 2 men in the backfield, 3 wideouts, a 5-man front from the 50-yard line. Turns around, hands the ball off to Kareem Hunt. He's running left. He's across the 40. He's across the 30. He's across the 20. He's across the 10. He's into the end zone. Touchdown! Kansas City. Kareem Hunt. That good old boy plays for the Browns, but he used to play for the Kansas City. But now he's for the Browns. And that, my friend, is why the Kansas City Chiefs will most likely not come out of the AFC this year. That's just my opinion, because they had a player, he had a little bit of hitch in his giddy up, and they got rid of him. He's going to be doing his thing for Cleveland this year. So I'm going to tell you his name, Kareem Hunt. He would have, in my opinion, would have helped Kansas City get back to the promised land for maybe the 3rd year in a row in the Super Bowl 56 coming up. But Hunt's going to be doing his thing for the Cleveland Browns. Baker Mayfield's going to be handing off to him up at the 50-yard line. Has Hunt in the backfield, 3 wideouts, 5 men front. Turns around, hands the ball off to Kareem Hunt. He's running left across the 40, across the 30, cuts back at the 20, at the 15, at the 10, at the 5. Touchdown! Cleveland! The great Kareem Hunt, 50 yards! And Cleveland takes the lead over the Pittsburgh Steelers. And maybe, just maybe, might run their way into the AFC Championship game like they did last year when they were knocked off, and it's all fair and love and war. This year, if they run the ball, they may have a chance of running up to that Lombardi trophy. Why I say this? Because the Browns picking Hunt up for peanuts, because he had a problem. Who doesn't have problems? When he did his thing, it was an egregious thing that he did at Kansas City. But people can change. Michael Jackson said, make that change. The Browns picking up Hunt for peanuts. Off-field transgressions. Hopefully he's worked through that. It's meant the team can now field two top 10 caliber running backs simultaneously. Hunt may not be quite as good as Chubb as a ball carrier, but he's a superior receiver and has broken 33 tackles on receptions since the start of 2019. That little boy is a touchdown waiting to happen. It's all fair in love and war. They had him, and he was in Kansas City doing his thing. But there's something about the NFL, you know, they like to turn their back on players too soon. I mean, I'm not making any excuse for anybody. We're all grown men. Nobody's above reproach. Only Christ was perfect. It's all fair in love and war. But obviously, Cleveland gave him a chance when Kansas City turned their back on him. And now you have some former Kansas City coaching staff that have been in trouble. It's all fair in love and war. You have the NBA opening of the NBA 2021 NBA Draft coming to you live from the Barclays Center in beautiful Brooklyn, New York. Have the great DC Livers, founder and CEO of the Black Sports Network, trying to bring more diversity in sports for people of color. The black dollar is a $13 billion monthly spend, but oftentimes it doesn't come back into the black community. It's like the movie Get Out! The money tends to get sucked out like a vacuum cleaner sucking out dirt. It's all fair in love and war. But just like with the Black Sports Network and Big C Sports Podcast, we want to make sure that people have liberty and justice for all, and not wait for somebody else to open up the doors of opportunity for your dreams. You got to be the one to do that. If you can open up the doors of opportunity for your dreams and open up doors of opportunities for other people, then we make the world a much better place. And that's my hope. So no matter who gets picked first in the NBA draft, I'm just looking for $6 billion. It's a $620 billion business, the sports business and TV and all that broadcast. We're a part of that with Big C Sports. I've never missed it. I'm telling you, sponsors, there are some guys that are on networks, TV and radio and podcasts, and they're on vacation. You are paying their salaries, and they're out eating the Big C burger. We know it's a tasty burger. We know it comes with exotic meats, but I also eat the Big C burger, but I don't quit. I don't sleep. I don't take a day off. You can count on me just like the sun rising. If the sun rises, Charlton will be there broadcasting Big C Sports. When you want to put your dollar behind the company, 800-772-8624. It's all fair and love and war. Just follow the Big C Sports Podcast. I'm there every single day, Monday through Friday. We're going to be covering the 49ers training camp in August, as well as other NFL teams having a report for every NFL football team coming up in the preseason before they kick off. It's all fair and love and war. Like my mother always says, you got to rise and shine every day no matter what you do. You rise and shine. Back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, you rumble, young men, rumble. With all you've got to use, how can you lose? And as I say to anyone that's a champion, whether you're the Olympics or NBA rookie, just got drafted, you got to always rise and shine. You can rise and shine every Monday through Friday when you follow Big C Sports. Every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide when you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America, iHeartRadio Podcast. You can find Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can find Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. You can find Big C Sports on Spotify. You can find Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV. It's all fair and love and war. As my beautiful mama always says, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, please pick up the phone and ask for help, because no man, woman, or child should ever go through that garbage on their own. And as we tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.